What's the strongest ship in the fleet? And I know fleets. Friendship. Scene Snobs, you guys are great.
Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast. I'm your host, Mick Manhattan, from here, and also Warp Factor Fiction.
Yes.
So go check out both shows. And I'm joined, as always, by my number one, my first commander, if you will. Or it could be the other way around. I'm just saying.
No, I am definitely second in command here, bro, and I dig it.
In my fantasy world, I can be Robin if I want to.
What, we're both just second in commands. Who's the captain? We don't know.
I have no idea anymore.
At any point, it could be either one of us. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. A pleasure as always. It's wonderful on a Tuesday night to be alongside you as always, my friend. Here on the strongest ship in the fleet. Good night. That makes me happy every time. The fact that he said that, goodness, that was phenomenal. Between him and Will Wheaton, it's such great guys, man.
He loved it too. So if anybody doesn't know that we're talking about, we interviewed Jonathan Frakes. We're very lucky to do that. And yes, Will Wheaton as well. You can check that out. But Jonathan Frakes was fantastic. Dream come true talking to him because we love him. But we did tell him that our sort of that mantra that we do, that the thing that I used to call people when I was drunk and say to them, what's the strongest ship in the fleet? And then, of course, it's friendship. We have t-shirts made. You can go check it out on snobsmerch.com. But he was tickled by it. He laughed and he really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a hoot, man. It was so exhilarating. It was such a rush. Then when it was over, it was like, oh, no.
Oh, that's for sure, man. But yeah, if you guys do want to go check that out, it's up on Patreon now. And it'll be there for a little bit, and then you guys will be able to check it out on our YouTube channel, or it will be out in podcast format as well. I'm excited for that, but also to talk about our other show that we have coming out, Warp Factor Fiction, that came out last Thursday.
Yes, it did. First episode drop, buddy.
And this is our we call it a chronological analysis of the history of Star Trek on screen. We are watching in chronological order every Star Trek show that's animated, all the movies, everything that could be on screen and is connected canonically to it is going to be watched, and we're going to have a great time doing it. We've already put out the first episode. We do it twice a month, 2 episodes a month, and it is a season of the series. So we're on Enterprise season 1. We just put out the first episode, which is the first half of that season,
because those seasons are giant.
Exactly, they really are back in the day, man. But then we're going to jump to the second half, which will be out on Thursday. But we have another special for you. If you're not on our Patreon, but you are a Trek fan, we have a companion series, a mini show called Quarter Impulse.
Yeah, these are the bits where we handle kind of the side stories that continue on our conversations. So they're kind of appendices, if you will. Yes, little side quests, little ventures, as we discuss major points that have importance, especially in this first one where we bring up the Prime Directive and how the first season of Enterprise really touches down a lot on the Prime Directive. And so we discuss what it means overall and the importance in Star Trek. So it's a hoot. It's a blast.
And that is one
of our favorite subjects.
Yeah, that's one for sure. I think that we will revisit because it's such a big thing. And this is the early days of Trek. But we want to talk about aspects of Star Trek on that show where it's like maybe a certain actor who's popped in. Like we'll talk about Jeffrey Combs and his history, or we'll talk about actual things going on in world or things like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you check both those shows out. You can check out our Patreon in the link down below. Great tiers, great perks. Go join up, be part of the Snob Nation. But Casey, I feel like we've been talking a lot about what we're doing and what we can sell.
Yes, this is true. We do this very frequently.
But I wouldn't say that. I mean, just probably more than always.
More than never.
More than that is true. It is definitely more than never. That is for sure.
Happy middle ground.
I want to ask you, let's sell ourselves a little bit. How's your week going, buddy?
Man, my week has been fantastic. It was busy. It's been really crazy. I'm really enjoying the things I have going on in my life. Work is nuts. Got to hang out with River, and that was a hoot. Unfortunately, she was a little sick, so I had to play, Dr. Daddy, which is one of my favorite roles. My bedside manner is, second to none. It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
After the Great Crusher and, the EMH, they taught me how to. Julian Bashir, which we'll discuss more, obviously, at Warp Factor Fix. The wonderful doctors, Bones, all the really sweet doctors, the kind
ones.
Can
I ask then, if you're sitting with her and she's sick, maybe she's laying down because she's not feeling well, are you literally just scanning her with a remote control?
All the time. I'm constantly scanning. Well, I prefer to use the PlayStation remote because it has a blue light on it, so it gives more of the effect. So
That's true.
That way, it feels more realistic. You got to get in the moment,
No real medicine required.
Nah, not at all.
Can I have cough syrup? No, you'll take your blue light and shut up.
You're going to enjoy this. But, because then I get to use crazy terms and talk about what she might have and what she might be going through, like, hemorrhagic fever or some weird thing. And she'll be like, what does that mean? And I'll make something up. A weird prognosis.
Gonna put your space slugs on it.
Exactly. Yeah, precisely. And then I'll go back and make some terrible noises upstairs and act as if I'm corralling some creature, and then come downstairs and really scare her with something like a stuffed animal, throw it at her. Fear, it's a wonderful healing power.
That's very true. You always hold the dodgeball up at them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they never know. Like, sure. whoa. No, we did actually. That's terrible. We did actually have a sit down at one point. She was like, I need to laugh. And I was like, you're right. Laughter is one of the best medicines. So I sat and read this joke after joke after joke, and we were cracking up. So,
what was the book again? Schindler's List.
Yeah. The funny one.
that was the list you were.
It was the hoot. She really liked when they were like figuring out how to make enamelware. She loved that part.
She's holding her gut, rolling around on the floor because you're like, I could have saved more.
Oh wow.
We're going crazy.
I love it. It's off the rails. I love it.
Embrace absurdity. I did that wrong.
Embracing absurdity. Oh, we did. Speaking of embracing absurdity, we did also. She learned about the live action, The Last Airbender, and she was like, "I have to watch this movie. Why? There's a live action. Why wouldn't you tell me, Daddy?" I was like, "I was trying to protect you from it." And she was like, "Well, come on, it can't be that bad." So the trailer for it that we have is the extended, like 5-minute trailer. Because for some reason they needed that, which is basically just the cliff notes and shows you the whole movie. So we played that, and she watched it. And I was like, "Do you want to watch the whole thing?" She goes, "No, that looks awful." I'm like, "Yeah."
What is it with kids saying, "Well, it can't be that bad," when they have no idea? At what point in our tribesman demeanor, or just our innate sense, did kids, the young, say, that old person doesn't know anything, and I'm gonna touch this stove and maybe hold it for a little while until I see if it's really hot or not?
Because all humans are a little stupid. We're all a little stupid. We all need to experience it for ourselves and see what it's all about. Hence, part of the human experience. I mean, that's what it is. We want to experience it all. Like, you tell me it's hot, but what does hot mean? Like, what kind of hot?
Like, certain levels and degrees that you have to go through. Literal.
I mean, I had to stick a coin in the socket. It was a thing.
My brother did that, and I was just like, nah, I'm good. I learned my lesson.
It's ridiculous because I think about how much like protecting and preparing I did for my child, and how much everything had to be covered, and everything had all of the locks everywhere in the cabinets. And then I think back to when I was a kid and my parents were like, go ahead, see how it feels. Go ahead. It's like, oh my God.
This entire place is a learning zone.
Like, so much of that, I'm not changing anything. You just need to learn to live in this.
Death or learn.
It really was death or learn, which is great in some ways if you're like a wolf. Or if you require hunting as your natural skill, or running, and if you're not good at those, you're dead. Sure, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's legit. We do have a special guest tonight.
We do indeed.
and he's in the green room, so we're going to bring him in.
All right,
and
let's do it.
This man has a new film coming out called Written by Mike. We're going to get into talking about that and more. He's been in the industry for a while. Ryan Cudahy. Cudahy. I always say Cudahy. I don't know why I go that route, but I always screw it up. Ryan, welcome, sir.
I'm doing well. Mick, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. This is Casey. I don't think you guys have met before. Ryan and Casey. Casey, Ryan.
Casey, nice to meet you. Just
Pleasure
from
to
the
meet
voice,
you.
I thought you were Chris Evans. That you sound just like him. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that before, but
I've not heard that.
Well,
Captain America himself.
People will catch it now. Mick, you actually had it right the first time. It's actually Cudahy. So well done on your first guess. I'm impressed. Most people don't get it.
I'm trying. I'm trying to learn. Like we just said, everything is either you die or you're going to learn.
I'll tell you what, Mick. It takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds listening to this to remember that I'm not as knowledgeable on film as I think I am when I hear you guys talk about it. And actually, before we get started, I have a funny story. So my dad years ago was at some convention, and they were talking. They had to enter, what do you think would be the best prequel that someone could make? And the top answer was, we're running low on airbenders.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty clever. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely,
Super
man.
stoked to
Thank you. So let's get into it. Let's talk about your movie. So this is your first project in a little while, and since last we talked, I think, and so I want to talk about this one. Going into it, I know that you're big on filming in Virginia, so you're going to be filming here, right?
Oh yeah, I've kind of been in film limbo for a while now. That's been something that I haven't worked on a project in a while. However, what I have done is really kind of try to push the Virginia film scene as much as I can. So right now, I'm loving my job. I'm working for the Fredericksburg Economic Development and Tourism Department in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Nice.
And, I've been closely knit with the Virginia Film Office before, and I decided, completely unrelated to this, if the Commonwealth can do film incentives, why can't localities? So Fredericksburg recently, under my direction, has passed a film incentives program. So any filmmakers who are watching this and are interested in filming in Virginia, in addition to getting money from the Virginia Film Office, if you want to shoot your feature or anything else that qualifies in the city of Fredericksburg, Virginia, you get a 25% reimbursement if you apply. So I've really been trying to walk the walk when it comes to getting film to Virginia, and I've been doing my part to make that happen. Still not there yet. There's still a lot we have to do. But hopefully with this project that I'm working on, which is called Written by Mike, we can get there even further.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic, man. That's wonderful to hear. I'm glad you were able to push that incentive forward, and hopefully we get a lot more of filmmakers, coming around, especially in Fredericksburg area. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who represents the city of Fredericksburg in many ways, I'm proud to, because we've really got everything you need, not just for film production, but for a city in general. But with this film, almost all of it's being shot in Fredericksburg. We have 1 scene shot in Culpeper and then 2 scenes shot in Stafford. So we're keeping it pretty local. And the nice thing is the businesses and places we're shooting as locations have been amazing.
That's great.
I love that. And yeah, we have talked quite a bit, about your involvement in film in Virginia and trying to bring more film productions here. And I love that. I think it's a great location all around statewide just to shoot anything really. And I'm a big advocate for it as well. You see the surges in New Mexico, the surges in Atlanta, things like that, Louisiana. I think Virginia should be right up there.
Yeah, those states are bums. Make it all to Virginia. Come on, come to the nice place. It's gorgeous here. We got mountains, we got valleys, we got everything. We got beaches. Bring it on.
That's literally my point. I've always said that Virginia, its locations are as eclectic as its daily weather patterns. Yeah, I mean, that is a hindrance when it comes to this. But you look at Georgia. I mean, Georgia, first off, it's becoming saturated when it comes to film production. I've heard that certain localities are getting kind of annoyed by it, which is also, I think, a good reason for people to look at Virginia. But what do these states have that Virginia doesn't? We have every single type of location you need, except for desert. And I'm pretty sure film crews won't be upset about the fact that we don't have deserts.
Oh, there's plenty of things that take place outside of the desert, but are shot in LA and it looks like a desert. Every time I watch NCIS and I see, and it's been a long time, thank you, but when they go to Manassas Park and they treat it like it's an actual park, and it's all desert and mountains, I'm like, that's not what that looks like.
Well, the funniest one to me was I was watching Mindhunter, which is a great show.
Oh, awesome.
But, there's a scene in the first episode when they drive up and it just to some random town just says Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm from Charlottesville, Virginia. That's where I grew up. That made our whole family laugh when we saw it. It is not Charlottesville. And I get it, but that's an example of where like the incentives, if we were to raise them in Virginia, maybe Mindhunter would have been shot in Charlottesville. So that's a good example of a wasted opportunity for Virginia.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100% agree. And
I would have loved to have seen. Sorry, I would have loved to have seen Walking Dead in real Alexandria.
Yeah, right.
Because it kind of feels that way sometimes. It's pretty close. That locale works.
Well, they shot. Well, I'm sure you know this, but they shot it in Hopewell, so not too far off. But
they were too far off.
Yeah, the same way that if there's a scene that takes place in DC, it's most likely Baltimore, Richmond, or LA.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, for me, since you've been working very closely with the film commission here in Virginia, and trying to get these things pushed, as a filmmaker, somebody who's worked independently from the film commission and what do you think some pros and cons of each are? So we can talk to maybe some other indie filmmakers, especially in this state, and see, kind of open their eyes to maybe why we should go to the film commission and maybe some other things that maybe why not.
Well, it's interesting because I have no qualms whatsoever about the Virginia Film Office. They have been extraordinary for me in my career. I've been trying to be an ally of theirs, and I'm not just saying that because we applied to the grant today, but we did. But they're truly just wonderful people. Andy Edmonds and Don Blackston are running a tight ship there. And but what is interesting is, one of the reasons I kind of phased out a little bit is, I was working on a TV series in Richmond. And it, full-blown Hollywood professional series. And was it a great experience? Yeah. There were so many great elements of it. And I'm sure, Mick, you can attest to this, that when you first walk onto a professional film set, it is shocking. The lights, the huge sound stages, like you think you saw when you went to the Warner Brothers studio tour. It is in another world. Yeah. And that's awesome. And you get to work in your career, but then I realized while working on it for a while, did I have a good time? Yeah. I made a lot of great connections, some of which are working with me on this film. So I'm very grateful for it. But I'm working 60 hours a week with no benefits when I'm on that job. Mm-hmm. And there is this element in the film industry, and I say this as someone who's working on a movie, so where they know that you're passionate about this. So they're going to exploit it. Now, it was a great experience. I enjoyed it. But it really did remind me, like, you know what? Do I want this to be my career? Do I want to be working for 60 hours a week on a show with maybe the hope of becoming a producer or director someday, 30 years down the line? Probably not. And I know people such as yourself, we've had to make decisions like that. And, what I'm doing now with the city of Fredericksburg, I adore. But I've always had the inkling for this project. Fortunately, I had some people come along that loved the script and were willing to finance it. And here we are. So it's really complicated figuring out which direction you want to take in film. But the good news is we've got an amazing team. We've got an amazing cast. And we've talked about this before, but I've always viewed filmmaking as a team endeavor.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really why I'm in this. It's a story. I've never cared about making a story more in film, and I'm glad to have the team behind me that's actually going to enjoy the process rather than doing it because of whatever other reason.
The grind, where it's just you do it for the passion and everyone's just in it. So it's nice to have that where you love what you're doing.
And I love that passion as well. I definitely agree with you on that. And one big thing for me, I've always said, even from a producing standpoint, is I can't do all this shit. I can't do it all. And I'm not going to, and even if I could do it all, I'm not going to make it look as good as if I got the right people to do each job. And I always try to tell other filmmakers that, especially in the indie world, who are like, I'm Robert Rodriguez and I have a camera and join me. This is Jackass. No, that's not how it works. He did it. He probably didn't need to do it, but he did it out of necessity at the time. You guys have a lot. There's a big, huge base out there. I know, and just in Virginia, I'm not even talking about all over, but in every state, it's the same. Just in Virginia, if you want to shoot a film, there's people. They're there, and they want to do it with you. Casey will be in your movie.
What up?
He can do it. Well, I just meant in general, but yeah, sure. Go ahead, Ryan.
I mean, my biggest thing is when it comes to indie filmmaking is when you're talking to someone at a higher level who's made success. Not everyone's like this. I've met many people in film who are just gracious and helpful. And some of these people think they're being helpful when they go, your project won't cost much. It'll cost $50,000. So just get that $50,000 and you can make it. But, that I think is a good example. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these Hollywood productions cost millions of dollars, but $50,000. Do you know what I would kill for? How much I would love $50,000 to a lot of people in film. That's chump change, and they can get that in 2 seconds. It's a little bit harder for someone who's trying to get started out. I mean,
yeah.
I'm fortunate with this film, but that's not always the case that you just are blessed with all this money. I mean, I've heard people say before, filmmaking is the most expensive artistic hobby or artistic endeavor in general. And I think that we need to be cognizant of that when we're building these teams, when we're working on these films, and appreciate more to see how a lot of these filmmakers got started. You look at Richard Linklater's movie Slacker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or John Carney's Once, which is just masterful. I mean, these are films, or Clerks. I mean, these are films that are not perfect, but when you learn more about the filmmaking process and the money that goes into them, you get why.
Yeah, and it's funny you actually say that, because for me, actually the examples that you use there are quite good, because there's two types. I should say this. There's three types of filmmakers. There's the ones who just step in and have that natural talent. And I'm talking the visionary filmmakers, the producers, the line producers, things like that. They're a little more logic-based than the visionary. Not that there is no vision to them, not that they don't bring something to the table creatively, but it really is the job is handled on a more logical basis than being able to be sort of the dreamer. So you have the dreamers who can go out there and they make it, and it looks amazing because they just have it. It's that thing. I would say the Kevin Smiths of the world are the guys who came in and said they're good writers. They can tell a joke, but it's not if you took Clerks out of its element of the 90s and that hit indie scene, it probably would not be as memorable. There was a lot surrounding it, but he deserved that, and he made a great movie and kind of went forward with it. But then you got the bad filmmakers. And these are some of the people I like to talk to. And then if you're a bad filmmaker, if you just don't have it visually and you're trying and trying, my only advice in a situation like that would be, one, make sure you're in the right position. You may have wanted to be a director, but you may not have explored all positions, and you may find something more in tune with what your talents and what you got. Two, stepping into it. I say a bad filmmaker, but you can always learn. You can always grow from bad. There's a lot of filmmakers who don't want to admit it. Me, I can't direct shit. I know I've tried. I'm okay. And I'm not talking visionary. I'm talking about I'm okay as a DP, but my eyes are going, couldn't do it anymore. But producing that logical sort of step, that was my wave. That's what I loved. And I got into it, and I got into it hard. And what you're saying with the budget, even me, the line producer in me is yeah, you're right. But what drives me nuts most about indie filmmakers is they'll write a script, but go to Indiegogo or something like that, or find backers and say, this is what I need to make this. And then it gets time to edit, and they need more. So then there's these re-ups, or then they need to market it, and they're asking people, will you please buy it? Or will you please do this? Will you please do that? I can't afford it. I can't afford to get in festivals. That's the line producer in me who's saying you should have done a budget from beginning to end, all the way through. If you want to have a red carpet premiere somewhere, pop it down on that budget, because that's the way it works. And that's where I think a lot of indie filmmakers kind of fall apart. I know I've talked to you, and I know you know this, so I'm not really talking to you. But get yourself somebody who likes to do those budgets.
Completely. And to tie it back to what we were talking about before, that's what's so great about the Virginia Film Office. Because one, when you apply for a grant or a tax incentive through them, they want to see that budget. They're going to ask for that. You have to give that up front. And two, that's what they help with. They don't just give you money. It's they give you a reimbursement on all your Virginia spend, which guess what you can use that for? You can use that for post-production. You can use that for film festivals. You can use that until you hopefully find a distribution deal. So that's a great thing that I think a lot of film offices offer, but Virginia Film Office is particularly good about.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So, as we're going on, let's talk a little bit more about Written by Mike and what it's about. And so what can you tell us so far about it?
Sure. So I can start off. This is, like I said, the most personal project I'll probably ever do or have ever done. I've been very open in interviews and stuff about my struggles with bipolar disorder, and I have been seeing a therapist for a long time. And 4 years ago, I was dealing with a lot of crap. And I said to my therapist, I don't know how to get through this. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get past this. And he goes, well, you're a screenwriter. Write a script about it. And so I put together, I started mapping out a plan for what I wanted to write about. And then I thought about it. And I came up with this idea that eventually became Written by Mike. So really it's about struggles with myself, my mental health, my relationships, my family. And I consider it kind of almost like my doctoral thesis for storytelling. If I could be honored to actually say something like that, I'm not going to pretend it's a masterpiece, but I'm really, really proud of it. It's about two couples dealing with family trauma and illness at the spark of their relationships. And it's really kind of a question of like, what does it take to build a compatible, communicative, successful relationship? And, you know this as a producer that you have to come. It's this film meets this film. It's really like the Before Sunrise trilogy by Linklater meets The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And it's very much a story about mental and physical health. It's a story about family dynamics. It's a story about, is loving someone enough in a relationship, or what else do you have to work for to make it successful? And it's something, the best compliment I got on it is a friend of mine said, as soon as I finished reading it, I turned the pages back and read the entire thing again.
Nice.
And so I shopped it around Hollywood a little bit. It was met with a lot of praise. A lot of companies loved it. Because we didn't have any big talent attached, they weren't willing to give us a pre-sale, but they are willing to watch it afterwards, which is a good sign. And fortunately, they weren't the only ones who liked it. Some people in Virginia really loved it too, and here we are.
I love that, man.
That's great,
awesome.
man.
So now with that, and when you said you were shopping around in Hollywood, were you looking to get it made, to get a budget for it, or were you some studio to maybe back, or did you think about possibly selling the script, or is it too personal to you?
Well, that's, you can't have it always, I mean, ideally I would love for a production company in Hollywood to buy the script, then give me creative license to make it myself. But we all know that's not really ever how it works. What the companies I met with, I'm not going to pretend I met with, Disney or Columbia Pictures or Warner Brothers, but I did meet with some distribution companies and had conversations and got consultants on it who are fairly prominent actors that were really helpful with the script. I had one sit down with me and go, give me one reason why you wouldn't make this thing. And I said, money. And they go, that's not good enough. You need to make this. And so some of those companies and consultants were interested in down the line taking a look. But like I said, these types of companies want to know that if they're going to make this, it's got some legitimacy. Not to say my work isn't good. I mean, I'm very proud of some of the work I've done, but I didn't have any of those big names on it, so we didn't get the funding or the selling of the script that we needed. But at the end of the day, I'm happy about that because I don't want someone else to make this movie. I want to make it. It's too personal to me.
Are you stepping into the director's chair for this one?
I am. I'm doing it. You know me. I've always been the producer. I've directed quite a few things. I'm happy with them, but it's been a while. But this is my coming out of retirement for at least a little bit to direct this film. It's the way Alfonso Cuarón did the cinematography for Roma. He's not used to that. I'm not as used to directing, but I'm confident.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you're absolutely going to crush it. And I'm glad you're going to tell this story. I'm excited for it to come out and for you to get into it.
Thank you. I mean, I really appreciate that. We're trying to get the word out as much as we can locally for now. I mean, we're doing 2 meet and greet events coming up in the next week and a half. On Friday, we're doing one at Grill 309 in Culpeper, Virginia, to get the word out, and which we're also shooting there. And we're also shooting at our other location for our meet and greet, which is Fredericksburg Square in Fredericksburg on April 6th.
Nice. All right.
Love that. And please send us that information so we can add it to the description and we'll share it out as well. Guys, it is for me when it comes to indie filmmaking, and I've talked to both of you about this before. Casey, you and I tend to go a little at length on it.
A little long in the tooth.
We it's something to support. Like you said, this is one of those art forms that really just isn't easy on the pocket, but you can't not do it, and that's why I always try to find like a level, even for the movies that are so bad, like they make your eyes want to burn out. But I still try to look for that thing that's like this is why it was made, like maybe that shot or this, that, and the other thing, it's so important
to get that line in that writing. There's that script. There was just that line that stuck with them, the weevil that created, and everything was sprung from. And when you feel that line and get to see that, that's an expression of art, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's wonderful when we can translate that. You
can learn something from every movie.
Precisely. Yeah. Yep. There's a lesson to be learned in everything if you're willing to look at it and not just take a hit. So
nice. And so now, as we're getting closer and closer to it, what are your next steps in the pre-production phase as a director that you're taking? Like, have you got storyboards done yet? Are you working on shot lists?
Oh, shot list is done. Storyboard, I'm well into. I'm not the best artist, at least from a sketchbook, but I'm getting those stick figures in. About halfway through that, and then
stick figures all day.
Yeah, and then 10 minutes before I hopped on here, we finished up rehearsal with 2 of our leads. Luckily, we've got an amazing cast. Our 4 leads: Noah Peterson, Miranda Newman, Maggie Goff, and Matthew Melito. So the 2 couples, 4 leads, they're great, and they've been real troopers on getting this thing ready. So, like I said, we've started rehearsals. We've just finished up most of our scheduling. We got half of it done. We're well into the second half because we're shooting the first half in May, one of the stories, and the other story in June. But yeah, we're really kind of what it's coming down to is I'm meeting with our production designer, Addison Cole, quite a bit. We're figuring out how we want to set up these scenes. We have all the gear we need. Our director of photography, Reed Curley, he and I have been meeting. I've been trying to get as much communication as I can. I've heard, I think it was Jonah Hill said, directing is basically just professional problem solving. Like that's what you're doing the whole time. And I'm not going to pretend like we're not going to have problems to solve because of course we are. And I want to be cognizant of that there are going to be things that come up on set that I have to deal with that aren't going to be pretty, but I want to limit those as much as I can. So that's the producer in me. Like that's the side of me that goes, okay, let me be practical about this. But we're almost done with the pre-production process. We're almost at the shooting phase. So I've been trying to get as much done with the storyboard and the scheduling and the budgeting and everything that I can.
Do you have another producer on there with you to kind of back you up while you're directing?
Yes, I do. His name's Will Sidaros. He and I met on the TV series I worked on. He's done a lot of great projects. And we've always, since the series, we've been talking about collaborating on something specifically this process. We were hammering out revisions on the script. He was going to direct it for a little bit, but we both realized this is too personal for me not to do it. And he's been a trooper through all of this.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Man, I want to thank you so much for jumping on tonight and talking to us about the movie. Is there a website that people can go, maybe help or back or even just spread the word?
Well, we don't have a website, but we do have social media, which is at Written by Mike Film. If they do want to support us, we're always looking for a little bit of extra funds for donations. They can show up at one of our events. We do have some incentives for that. Obviously, that's local. We were considering doing crowdfunding, but we didn't really feel that was necessary. So if people are interested in coming to the events, I'll have the dates for you guys, and we'd love to have your support. Even if not monetarily, we would love for you just to share the page and get the word out about us.
Absolutely, guys. So remember, if you're listening at this later date or you're watching, make sure you're sharing this out. Let's get the word about the movie Written by Mike out there for him. Ryan, again, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Appreciate you, Ryan. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
Guys, take care, buddy. Guys, thank you so much again to Ryan for jumping on and doing that and talking about it.
Yeah, it was rad, man. Love talking to, especially learning about that little Fredericksburg, the kickback there now. That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's great. I'm glad they're doing that for the arts.
He had talked about that years ago. He was working on another movie, and he actually I've seen a few of his movies at through Skyline.
Okay.
Hey man, he makes a pretty looking movie. I'll tell you that. And that's not to take away from the story.
No,
I remember them being fun, enjoyable stories as well. But I'm just talking about it like from loving the visual side of it.
Right.
His cinematography always top notch. So I'm anxious to see how that goes in this new movie.
That's awesome. Well, we have Chris with us too. Chris Harris here. Hi, buddy.
Yes. See, I didn't even put on the comment. I didn't put the comment tabs on because I'm like, nobody watches anymore. What's up, buddy?
Well, we're behind our Patreon wall, and plus this is a weird at time, so we shifted times. So.
That's true. That is true. A lot of people probably didn't even know we were on, but because
exactly. Surprise. It was one of those. This is gonna be a surprise show.
This was a game time decision too, because this was. I think what did I message you at like 11 a.m. because I was like, oh, that's right.
11:40, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, TTFT show. We're on there tonight. Our finals are so we played in this tournament, their March Madness movie madness tournament, where it was all movie trivia, very well done. We were one of 8 podcasts to do it.
And a lot of great podcasts out there. 8:30 is when the final show just dropped. So right now our finale is playing for the first time.
Yeah, so make sure to go check that out.
Go check that out.
If you're not here, you're there. Well, no, anytime somebody listens to this that isn't listening to it right this second. That's so Chris, go check it out right after.
Yeah, Chris, as soon as we're done with this, go check that out. And then we're going to do a reunion show, which for us will be live. But for you guys, you can see it after you watch us and going through the tournament. It's 3 episodes of us in the tournament. And then there's, I don't remember how many total episodes. I think 7.
Yeah, there's something like that. I mean, whatever 8 equates to on the board, on the old March Madness board.
Yeah, however they do breakdowns. I'm not good with them brackets no more.
Math wasn't my strong suit.
I had to give up on brackets, man. I was losing money and faith in my abilities to pick winners.
I never had a faith, man. There was no faith of the heart in this one.
Oh, nice.
I've been watching too much Enterprise.
Same, man. Oh my gosh, I was hitting River with the freaking with the faith of the heart all weekend, and she was like, "Please stop." I was like, "It's the only way you're gonna feel better. You gotta have faith of the heart.
You gotta have faith of the heart."
I asked her, I
love in the 3rd season they upped that tempo to a jazzy little beat.
A jaunty tune.
Dude, oh my God. So
ridiculousness.
I love it. Oh, Chris left.
Oh,
we lost our viewer. He went to go watch the tournament.
Exactly. He went to go see the tournament.
He's like, I can watch you schmucks later.
Exactly. Everyone can listen to this later. And the fun part is if they haven't listened to the other one, I feel like I can comfortably say the thing.
Well, I mean, that's actually true. Since nobody's watching now, we can say it and we can celebrate it here. But you said it first, so please take it away, sir.
I would like to happily announce that due to some incredible intelligence, some brilliance, some sheer genius, the power of will and determination that my friend, my Roman, my compatriot, my mug buddy, that due to his deep knowledge and to my inability to not forget things that I listen to as lines, because that's all I was good for. I'm only good at quoting things. Yeah, it was wonderful.
You're really good at that. Yeah.
I'm really good at quoting things. Mick is good at everything. He's good at wonderful at all things. He's one of the most incredible trivia partners a man could ask for. Due to our brilliance together, we shined, shone there as our friends Under the Bed with Dax, who I was hoping I'd go up against. I was kind of hoping that would be our guy.
I was not, because I was like,
you did not want to go
Dax, we're going to lose.
We instead picked a formidable foe in Lady Shasha, who was incredible. She was badass and really good, and it was a really great match. Please go watch it. It was wonderful.
That came down to it too.
Oh, it did. No, that was the thing. Is like it took some effort. The second one we kind of rope-a-doped. The second match was a little brutal.
Don't think that your boys here weren't throwing all in at all times. This was poker. This is like if we were playing hands both together, as we will be co-presidents. We're co-poker players.
Bingo.
We're both holding the cards and we're like, let's go all in. Dude, it's the first hand. Do it. Just go all in. And then we're the first bet. Just do it.
Just go all in. And we kept doing it. And it was like
doing it. They were getting they ran. We can talk about it now because they'll listen to this after. We would go all in and say, look, give us the most. Let's do it. We want this many points. And they ran out of questions for us because they didn't think anybody would pick it that many times.
We kept going through it, man. We just kept smoking those. And I'm telling you guys, the questions they threw out were great. TTFT put on a heck of a program. And I really hope they will host another round or some other kind of event because they were a hoot. Hopefully we can get them for April 14th for our MS show.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. I'm waiting to hear back.
Great.
They're very cool guys, and I'm going to link that below so you guys can check them out. Sorry to cut you off, Casey. I just want to make sure everybody knew we would have a link to it.
Absolutely, man. No, it was a great time. They were a hoot, and it was wonderful being champions with you. This is something that we came in as complete unexpected. So we were a last minute team dropped for them, and we had to be shoveled in, kind of just stuck in there, and we rose to the challenge.
Won the whole goddamn thing.
The whole goddamn thing.
we and that was the funny part because they did come to us and they were a little apprehensive because Dax had told them was like, you should get the Scene Snobs. And they asked for other people too in case we weren't available, and he still said no, just get the Scene Snobs.
Dax is, I mean, he's a sweetheart, man. Dax and Kai
are such a sweet guy.
Great dudes. Just dig them. Good
fun. Oh yeah, just amazing. Go check out his podcast, by the way. What's Under the Bed with Dax? Great interviews.
Boy, amazing interviews.
So, and I'll link that down below as well. So as we're going on with it, the thing that really got me was like I was nervous, but I had that Will Ferrell from Old School moment where I just blacked out and just started saying all the right shit.
I looked over at one point because we were very nonchalant. It's like, nah, keep it loose. If we stay loose, we'll be good. And then I look over like 5 minutes into the second round, and I'm like, yo, I turned into serious.
I turned into the T800 at one point.
Yeah.
Just staring on, like, because they even commented like 4 times, like, dude, you all right? Like, I'm like, yes. Why are you so angry? I'm like, I'm not angry. I'm just thinking. I want to hear the next question. Because my thing is, if you're doing trivia and somebody's asking you to answer a question and you don't hear it off the bat, then you can't be the first to answer it.
Bingo. I've always been that way. I was an academic bowl kid, back in high school. I love that. We went to nationals. It's like, give it to me, man. I love those challenges, which also I realized may have kind of made me a ringer, considering I used to do that kind of stuff. I love those games.
Oh man, dude, you got some good questions in this one. But I the one thing I will say is, as much as I really like those guys, they're a fantastic show. Won Snobby Awards this year. It really truly felt like they did not want us to win.
I don't think they were expecting us to win. I think we were jobbers. We were WWE jobbers who came in to get beat up after the second round.
You want to be accurate. they thought we were jobbers.
Well, yeah.
And we rolled in there like the goddamn Road Warriors.
I was going to say the Rock and Roll Express, but I like Road Warriors more. I don't want to be Marty Jannetty all the time.
Dude, I'm sitting there and like I could tell because like you remember when like and it was all legit. They handled it all legit. It wasn't like but you could tell they were trying to throw out harder questions to us, or they were like there was a change in points or something like that because they would offer like extra points to people, and I'm like, I see what they're doing. They don't know us. We're in the first episode. By the second episode, it was very different. It was a very different dynamic. But even then, it was kind of like, but we know him. Like, we'd like him to win.
These are our buddies. Yeah.
And it's just like, boom, we're just cutting down everyone. And the funny thing was, it was like, and that's where we came in. Like, I'm going all in because it was like he awarded like 10 points to the other team for something.
It got you heated, bro. You were riled up. You were like, they gave him points.
It was a fucking Dumbledore moment when it's the end of the school year and it's like, oh yeah, Slytherin has 600 points and everybody else has 10 points, and then he gives away like 590 points. Go fuck yourself.
Well, that was the funny thing though, is you took it that way, but it was a legit thing, but you hadn't quite heard because you were queued up on the next thing. Like you were ready for the next thing. All you heard was they got 10 points and you just, what? And I was like, no, it makes sense. But I wasn't going to say that because, we're in a show. So
I said, it was legit because I did go back and watch the first episode. Yeah. So going back and watching them, I was like, no, I get it.
Yeah,
but it was
points too. Being right there with you while it was happening was so funny because you were so not like, you weren't cutthroat at first. We were like, "Go team!"
Yeah,
like,
I thought we were going to lose.
Yeah,
so I was all in on losing.
I mean, I honestly thought those guys were going to smoke us. To my 5 cents, they were really good. Another great pod, a lot of fun. Those cats. Oh yeah, we were like close for a minute there. We were
very close, and then they did that, and I was like, bet it all.
Yeah, you just started going all the time. Right. And then after that, we were like, all right.
They were like 200 points ahead. They're running out of questions. Like, we can't do this anymore.
Oh, it was great, man. They were so much fun. I want to do that till the end of time. That's what we're meant for. Maybe that's where we make our millions, man, because we just become trivia monsters.
Well, we should. We should go. We should see if we can get on the Schmodown.
Let's do it.
I want tag team belts. Let's do that.
Heck yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Case.
Yo.
I had such a plan at the beginning of this when they told us about the award show. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to film it with you and I in person.
Yes.
And I wanted to do a thing where we talk about winning the whole thing, winning the award. But I would need you here.
Oh.
Because I was gonna Shawn Michaels, you're Marty Jannetty. And just sweet chin music you through like the chair or something.
And just take it.
Like, we're done.
Now that I'm a champion, this is what it feels like. I'm done with you.
Dude, tell me on that show, it's like the breakup of the Scene Snobs comes about because I'm Marty Jannetty you.
Would be one of the greatest things on earth. All right. Well, that just means we have to win something else so you can actually do this.
That's the plan, man. If the plan, like anybody who's watching or listening now, down the line, when we're gigantic and we show up on a variety show on TV and they're like, let's talk about them and blah, blah, blah. It's like some Christmas special. Mm-hmm. And I kick Casey in the chin through the fireplace. It's going to be
just screaming on fire, just like, because I will,
just like Jannetty's career. After
we got to sell the bit. We got to sell the bit. Like you got to go all in, man. Yes, and I'm with you. How long can I keep this? All right, let's seriously put it out.
Oh, we're done. Flip the hair. That mullet that Michaels had.
Beautiful mullet. Oh, that glorious mullet, which I actually, because the hair is now out of control, it's doing the things where it gets all strangly from around the sides of the hat. So I'm like, it's just I'm just going to full on Sasake and just go back to the belter and remove a side of my head.
Can I point something out to you?
As many things as you want.
I looked at this and I looked at these pictures that I put together, and that is a real animated picture of you that somebody took. You look great in the picture. That's why I use it. You know who you look like dressed like that?
Do I look like Jack Ransom?
You look like Jack Crusher.
I
Tell me
do
that you
look
don't
like
look like
Jack
Jack Crusher
Crusher.
on that.
I look like Ed Spaliers.
Yep.
Oh man, I got a little more nose than him, but yeah, you're about right.
I like
Holy
to think
cow.
I look like a plump Riker.
Oh yeah, no, you're actually just a chesty. You're a chesty Riker. You're like if Shax and Riker had a baby.
I'm Riker and Nemesis.
Yeah. Yes. Nemesis Riker. That's exactly where you are at. I love it though. I think you look great in that. I love that pic.
Yeah,
That pic of us is dope. When you showed that to me the first time you showed it, I like stared at it for a minute going, this is great.
Yeah,
Why can't this be reality? I just
know,
want to
right?
walk like that to work.
Jesus, I can't even order Star Trek gear in my size.
No, valid. I've been looking. Although I did find a jacket that'll fit you. I'm excited to get that. Yeah.
A Star Trek jacket?
Yeah. So I found an Enterprise bomber jacket, which is dope. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's
legit.
I love their uniforms. I know they're very rudimentary.
Yeah.
Oh no, let's save this for the podcast.
We'll talk about that later.
A quarter impulse on this.
That's perfect. Yeah. Well, all right. So that's going into the quarter impulse.
Yeah, our Star Trek has to stay at
Star Trek. I know we got to stop. So there is something else before we wrap up tonight that I have to beg of you, my friend. I have been trapped in my mind. I have been stuck, Mick. I have been in a place. I'm rooted and I can't get out. And I need you to pull me out and then whip me around like a radish and chuck me into the bin.
Jesus, what do you want me to fix tonight?
I need you to fix something that I don't know if it's fixable because I've tried to go back and figure out where it was broken, and it's broken so many places that I think it'd be a lot of fun if you could somehow take this guy right here,
Batman,
and all of his fellow friends. Yes, I've got Batman. I'm pointing to my Batman picture by Stuart Sega, signed by him. He's a great guy. He's a really nice guy, by the way. Does really good Batman work. I need you to. So James Gunn is going to be taking over the DCU. I was watching Suicide Squad the other day. Batman, in another different version of the other Suicide Squad. Because the James Gunn one is great. Watch the other David Ayer's Suicide Squad, which I don't hate. It's just not good. It's enjoyable. It's just not a good movie. Is there a way that you could fix the DC extended universe pre-James Gunn? And I would say I think I could honestly comfortably say post Superman Returns.
Okay.
Is that a good line? Is that a good line in the sand?
2008, I think. So
yes.
Well, the only caveat I would have to say that honestly, yes, can you fix it? Well, no, you can't fix it anymore. But could you have? And here's why I don't have a lot of faith in DC under the Gunn reign. I think he's going to make good movies. Mm-hmm. I don't know that this is going to be a franchise because he's not building the franchise yet. I know they have a plan and I know what they're going for. They have a theme. Mm-hmm. But I think the problem is you don't have the formula down, and you should have been copying Marvel and the formula, and that's what would fix the pre-Gunn era Snyder. Let's just call it the Snyderverse for now because he picked.
Well, I mean, there was still, because I don't count Nolan's movies in those. I would like it stated that the Batman Nolan stay separate.
I agree. But I have to mention them in my fix of this.
Fair. Okay.
And the reason being is because the massive success, as we know from The Dark Knight, was matched that same year by the massive success of Iron Man. Now, what does that have to do with anything? It has to do with the fact that Iron Man was going to lead to one of the biggest franchises ever, and probably will always be ever. And that was the first of this franchise, right? And they have a very clear formula. And I know I'm kind of reiterating things that everybody knows, but they have a very clear formula. At the beginning, they did not, but they had a movie to build off of. Yeah. But so did DC with The Dark Knight, which was really their only property. And if you notice, after The Dark Knight came out, and even though it came out after, there was a lot of development into a Superman that would fit into the world of Nolan's Batman. Yeah. And that was their first mistake. Yep. And the reason I say that is because if you were never going to connect it to Nolan's Batman, you should have never based it on that. But that's what they based their formula on.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark Knight did great, and that's what we need. We need those gems, and we have all of these characters, and yeah, we want to connect them. So they fast track a Superman movie, Man of Steel, of course, which now is the tone for your whole franchise going forward, and is not connected to the movie that helps set that tone.
Right.
So that's where your first mistake goes. I'm not saying you can't have that tone. You can, and fix this. I'm saying you didn't follow the right formula. Now, for me, what I would have done is, okay, you have Man of Steel, you tried something, didn't work as well as Dark Knight did, but neither did the third in that Dark Knight series.
Yeah.
So, they didn't know that at the time when they were developing. Snyder's coming in. Snyder has a big vision for it. I get it. If now all those things considered, taking out the upper echelon, they should have had a producer at the helm, kind of like a Kevin Feige, who's running the show, and then had people they could trust going down. At the time, Snyder was almost as big of a director as Jon Favreau.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
The only
300 was giant. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a huge movie. So yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. So he's coming in with a lot of clout, just like Favreau was doing with Iron Man. That's why I think it kind of really works. Now, like I said, you don't have to have the same tone as Marvel. You can have a darker tone and still fix this. But the formula they should have used was exactly what they did in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and pick your villains properly. What is the steps? We don't get to Thanos until Infinity War. We don't even get to the Black Order until Infinity War. So it's ultimately going to be what the Iron Man, the Avengers was, which is Loki and the army, the Chitauri. Then you have Ultron. Then you have Thanos. You're growing in each one. First of all, the villains, which are arguably, I would say the villains of DC are better than the villains of Marvel.
Yeah, I've always heard that argument. I will respectfully disagree.
That's fine. And that's not because I know where you're coming from. We've had deep conversations about this, and I don't disagree with you. I just think, and the funny thing is, when I say the villains of DC, most of them are Batman villains.
Oh, okay. When it comes to the rogues gallery of Batman alone, they rival. Like those
but
are
they can
definitely
still be counted on DC, and it's like
true.
I don't know that you're making a Thanos movie that's going to be as successful as the Joker.
Yeah, it's true.
Or Loki.
Absolutely.
But it comes down to they wanted to go with the realism, but what they should have done, what they should have given us is you've already given us an origin story in the Man of Steel and open this world up. Now you go to Batman, and if you want Affleck's Batman, fine, but Affleck's Batman needs to be a detective, kind of like what the Batman was.
Yes.
But trying to find out who the puppeteer is, trying to do this to Superman, who you're not 100% sure with because you've had issues as Bruce Wayne with, like his building coming down and killing people. His bullshit argument, basically. So you have all of that. And now, but he's doing the investigating side. And he's trying to figure it out. What I would have done was made my first villain Lex Luthor, who is kind of Legion of Dooming it a little bit by pulling the strings of certain villains.
Almost the Moriarty style in Holmes, where he's the villain above the villains.
Exactly.
You don't necessarily know it's him yet, and it's definitely not frickin' Eisenberg. So.
Yes. And all along that way, he's pulling the strings in each movie. He should have been in Superman, even if you're retconning it.
Sure.
Because he wasn't in it. And he should have been a Man of Steel. But even if you retcon it like they did Bruce Wayne in the beginning of Batman vs. Superman, you can do it where he's pulling the strings to each villain. And he's trying to not draw these metahumans together, but like test them to see where they go. And then you find out that he is experimenting, and not this Jesse Eisenberg one. I'm talking about like a real Lex Luthor, an industrialist type Lex Luthor, where now he's testing on the body of Zod. And your first Avengers-esque Justice League movie is the death of Superman.
Yeah, that's Doomsday.
Yes, that's where they ultimately comes down to, but it's the big three.
Mm-hmm.
So you get 3 or 4 movies to set it all up. Get to that movie, the first Justice League movie. It's just Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Superman dies. That propels you, and you could have even made it that long saga, but I would take the other characters out. Oh no, that was Justice League. I'm talking about this. My Justice League.
Yeah.
The technically the end of Batman versus Superman, but better.
Right.
So you make that one the movie. You have a knockout, drag down fight between Superman and Doomsday all the way through, while Batman and Wonder Woman are trying to help him, and then you introduce maybe some other metahumans who they've never heard of before coming in to try and help or see what's what. After that, Superman dies. They try to build this team together. The next one is introducing all these other characters wherever. It doesn't have to be origin. Introducing all these other characters in their own movies and starting to thread it to Superman coming back in the next Justice League movie. And maybe they have to go up against Superman, who's still having, the strings pulled a bit.
So maybe you even get the opportunity to get a backdoor Doom, where you actually have, everyone finds out that Bruce Wayne basically has an answer for everybody that he's working with. That would be a wonderful time to pull that out.
Yes, that would be great. And then that Justice League, because there's still the turmoil, but they're still coming together. And they finally are able to come together by fighting Superman. But you find out that it was actually maybe Steppenwolf, if you want to go that route again.
Okay.
Just for that second one. Where for Darkseid, he's pulling strings there on Lex Luthor all the way down. Like, this is going all the way up. Make it a conspiracy type of thing. Follow the yarn. And when Superman comes to, and at the end, you see them kind of coming together and fight because they find out it was Steppenwolf doing it. That's when you find out about Darkseid. Then you go to Flashpoint. Flashpoint goes, you can have Michael Keaton Batman. You can have all of these things because he goes back in time, changes things. And the thing that he was trying to avoid was going into that dark post-apocalyptic world. But Flashpoint is what's causing that.
Yeah.
So he has to go to Batman. He has to find Supergirl. They have to go and try and fight and do all of this stuff. Back to the future it a little bit. And now that propels you. We get back into gear, and then we're going on to Darkseid. So
that's really good because then, for Justice League 2, I like how you have that set up with that war, and then you Flashpoint it in the next, say, you can do Flashpoint 2-3 movies. Yep. You can have different aspects of it, and then wrapping up in the third conclusive. And it's good I think, to set that as trilogies. I like the idea of kind of cordoning them off as threes, and then you build your Justice League.
And I feel like, not to toot my own horn or boast or anything, but like if you follow that formula, they're making money. They have more power now. So when they do cast The Rock as Black Adam, it's like, no, we're not giving you every choice under the sun. And you ruin things for not just this, but another movie franchise that was making us money.
Yeah, you insult the other movie franchise. Like, that's just rude, man. Like, that's messed up. Like, Shazam's great. And that's how the comic books went. And I'm sorry if you don't like where you want your comic book character to go, but you have to respect the character. And if you disrespect the character, screw you.
Yep, 100% agree. So, Casey, in your mind, did I fix it?
Bro, you came as close as humanly possible to possibly ever fixing the preset DCU, because that honestly was a much better version. It sounded better, and I want to see those stories and be able to mind wipe from all the other junk that's in there.
Fair. All right. Well, I appreciate that, sir. Hey, guys, I want to appreciate anybody who's watching or listening live here on Patreon. I mean, you're supporters, and we truly appreciate you. Guys, go check it out if you haven't. There's links below. We are having a good time. Oh, somebody else popped in.
Sturdy's here.
Sturdy, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Sturdy?
Sturdy, I feel bad because your show's at 8, and we started at 8.
Yeah, we're jerks tonight.
Normally, I don't like to start during your shows. I figured because we're behind the Patreon, it's all right. But go check out Horror Sir Sturdy. He's great.
He's amazing. We love
But we
him.
do have an award show that we have to be a part of.
Yes, an award show, yes.
Which-
If I could sound more snobby about it, because we're so very lucky to be accepting a award because we are victorious. That's right. You'll have an opportunity to see us performing as we do in trivia to the death. And we're quite fantastic, if I may say. Personally, very, very good. And you should go put your eyes on it and then watch us as we just, do laps.
You're gonna go drink some tea now. All right, guys,
indeed.
we are gonna take off though. We really appreciate you watching, listening, supporting the Scene Snobs. Go follow us everywhere. You know the deal. Thank you again, Casey, my friend. Would you please do the honors and take it away?
Why, certainly. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, as always, to do this with all of you. This brings such joy to my heart. Hopefully, we're able to make your sunny days a little bit brighter, your rainy days dissipate for just a moment, and make an hour of your heart smile. Thank you, friends, as always, and do please take care in being kind to yourself and kind to each other. Good day.
All right, everybody. As always, can't say it better myself, so I'm not gonna. Take care.
Hey guys, Mick here. Thanks so much for watching the show and supporting us. We appreciate it. We appreciate you coming back and joining in the comments. But guys, I really want to thank you, our patrons who are out here supporting us, helping us keep the lights on. Really, truly appreciate you. Tim, Paul, Stacy, Matt, Aaron, AJ, George G3, Chris S, Dale, Chris H, Dan, John B, Ron, Jason, and John W. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Guys, we have 3 tiers available right now. As of March 1st, we're adding 2 more tiers for a total of 5 with tons of perks. So go check out patreon.com/thescenesnobs. And join our Snob Nation Discord channel where the moderators are keeping everything going and we're having really fun conversations over there and more. So go check it out. It's free to join and just be part of the Snob Nation. And remember to embrace the absurdity. Hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. We have tons of great shows coming out and more. Our lives are over on Patreon, but you can check out the Snob Nation Morning Drive live show on our YouTube channel Friday, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern, and tons more shows coming up thereafter. We have great shows like the Scene Snobs Podcast, Betting Bros, Math vs. Smash, Real Combat, movie reviews, and tons more. We have fun over there, and we think you will too. If you're looking for great merch, go over to the snobsmerch.com store. Use promo code SNOBS for 10% off of your order. We have tons of shirts, mugs, everything. Stickers, all different types of designs. We love it. I think you will too. So go check it out and let us know what you think. Remember to follow us on all social media platforms. We are at The Scene Snobs everywhere. You can also follow Casey at Planos21 on Instagram, at Casey the Madman on TikTok, and at Twitter Night on Twitter. Guys, tons of fun stuff and new things coming out every day, so go check out our content there. Thank you guys again. We are The Scene Snobs, and